G'day and welcome. I just wanted to share a story with you, and it's a story about, it kind of relates to my past, but it also relates to this moment where I just knew I was on the right path. Like, comment below if you've ever had one of those moments. Like, tell me about it. Did the universe or the natural world, or did you get some sort of sign that you knew you were on the right path? So for me, this most recent time, because it's happened quite a few times in my life, but this most recent one was as I was in the middle of my very first large marketing campaign. So it was the first time that I really got out of my own comfort zone, and I really and truly invested in myself for the first time. All the other times beforehand, I was playing it safe. I was just dibbling here, a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, and just dibbling and dabbling. But this was the first time I took that big risk. Now, ironically enough, those other times that I was kind of dibbling and dabbling, I actually had a bit of nerves going into it. Whereas this time, like the morning of, advertising and having this program put out to the world, to the universe, I actually woke up and I felt calm, confident, and I just in my body could feel this sense of knowing. Now, in my past, I had an experience like this before. So my very first IVF cycle, I was just like, I end up having, going to work a bit early because I needed to go get bloods done. And I was so early, in fact, that I had to I decided to pull over on the side of the road and go over to this natural area that I knew of, which is along the Swan River here in Perth, Western Australia. And then next minute I could hear, this sound that was like a blowing of air, and I was like, hang on, what? So this part of the river was over 20 k's inland, and I was like, what is that sound? So I've got out of my car, because I was sitting in my car with the window down. So I got out to explore what it was, and next minute I seen this dolphin, and it was like right near the edge of the bank, and I was just like, oh my God, this is my first IVF cycle, and it just gave me that same feeling of that calm and that peace and that knowing that everything was going to be okay. And then just as I felt that, on the other side of the river, on the other side of the bank, there was another dolphin swimming with this one. So they were both swimming upstream, I'm like, they shouldn't even be here. This is way too far inland. It wasn't until many years later that I found out that there is Swan River dolphins. So there is a pod that actually lives in that part of the river. But it just gave me that same sense of calm, confidence, and just inner knowing and trusting the universe that everything was working out in my favor. So back to this, middle of this campaign, this first the first campaign that I'd really invested in myself. And, the first time, I'd had some sort of sign that I was on the right track. And this time I had that feeling, but I hadn't had the sign. That wasn't until the strangest things had happened. So my regular cleaner had sent me a text message and said, I can't come for the next 6 weeks. I've had a fall and I'm injured and I need to recover. So anyway, as you do, you kind of put your feelers out there, and I'd organised to have a replacement. So, I had 1 or 2 people contact me, and I was like, oh yeah, they could be a good fit. And then next minute I had another person contact me, and I'd actually met them a few times before. So I had that rapport there, I had that trust there, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the better option. So I went ahead with that, and the most incredible thing happened. So, she was majority of the way through, and I was, sort of head down doing this marketing campaign and helping my staff out at the time and going through team meetings and things like that. And she gets this phone call from her school. Her daughter's school. And she just got word that she'd self-harmed, not to a point where, there was ambulance or anything like that required. But my very first reaction was like, I've gone obviously over to her and I said, look, I couldn't help but overhear that. And let me share with you, I am someone who used to self-harm in the past. And she went, oh, I knew I was meant to be here. I had that feeling coming into the house today that I was here for a reason. She's like, can I bring my daughter back here? And I'm like, yes, of course, please do. But, obviously gain her consent and if she's willing to and stuff like that. Anyway, that experience in itself and going through and guiding and being that teacher and being that healer and, it was just that sign from the universe going, yes, you've freaking got this. You have got this. And that was the moment that everything had changed. It was like the universe went, you've invested in yourself. You've got out of your comfort zone. You've spent more money than you thought you were willing to. And we're going to reward you. And I was completely flabbergasted when that campaign came back and changed my life.